just between different places and how the county wants to distribute, allocate the money is how protected the people are. So we all drove over to the next county and got them hooked up with a hotel and put in there, because the place in Shasta County still had their mission and was driving people to this mission of dispersing camps and telling people to go to the mission. But the mission had beds like that far apart with signs that said "Do not open the windows," with steam on the windows. So in that sense, that's just that's a petri dish.
Well, welcome back, Patriots. This is a continuation of the conversation I was having. It's part 2 of the conversation with the nurse from Los Angeles and the guy who's running for president. Both of them had some really good information and insights. I'm quite amazed at the lady who, in a short period of time, has become quite knowledgeable about how all of life she has been taken for a ride. Usually it takes people a lot longer than she has had to get up to speed. And the guy is quite informative. I hope he comes back to talk, because he seems to have a lot of good inside information, and he worked on the ground with a lot of good patients. It seems that we're out in California and with FEMA. So I'd like to find out more about what he did with them. Anyway, I think this is an extremely good conversation, kind of conversations I like to have out there. It's the streets. You never know who's going to come up, what they're going to say, and this is one of the better conversations I've had out there. So I can only imagine it's going to get steamier and steamier as the election season heats up here. There's a lot of strange scenarios going on about what's going to happen there in November and afterwards. One thing for sure, I ain't seen this before. So you know what you do. If you like it, you like it. If you care, you share. If you can, you contribute. If you want to keep me out there, you got to support me, because more than ever, things are tight. And I know they're probably tight for you too, so anything you can throw at me is good if you can go by. Again, the best thing you do, the thing I enjoy the most, is to go to my shop at BadAssUnlceSam, go to the shop and get one of my designs. If you've already got one, to get one for a friend. You know, spread this message around and see what we can do here. So, enjoy this one, share it please. If you haven't subscribed, do that. And I'll catch you on the other side, okay?
You know.
Population control, baby.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You know,
and then they're saying with the vaccination too, it's going to be mutations.
You know, like a flu vaccine every year or something like that.
I never get it.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah. And I worked at a hospital for years, but I never got it.
Yeah.
I worked at a hospital for 9 years as a CNA, and I had all the nurses on the floor refusing the flu vaccine.
Yeah.
Right. No. And most of the people that are getting the coronavirus had gotten the flu vaccine.
Oh, interesting.
So I think it's kind of interlinked some kind of way.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
We're guinea pigs to these eugenicists.
That's exactly what we are.
I mean, they just want to throw it out there, keep on seeing, well, see if this works.
Yeah.
You know. Now, I think the masks to me are like a precursor to this whole vaccine when it comes out. Because, you can put the mask away, just roll up your sleeve, you know. And then the ones that don't want to get the vaccine will be like oh, well, we got a place for you. Mm-hmm. It's these nice little FEMA camps we've opened up for you. You would be re-educated.
Which could be like a hotel. So
Yeah.
we're decontaminating hotels. So, for example, FEMA was spread so thin, they had a physical therapist moved over to manage isolation quarantine sites, IQS, right? So he's managing his quarantine sites and admitting he's not really qualified. He doesn't know. He says, does the virus die when the UV rays hit it? Like, I don't know. So he's straight up admitting, but they're spread so thin because of infrastructure deployment, right? Like here, the meals being fed by, some of the population doesn't have transportation or is at home or quarantined or some of the homeless indigent people. Homeless is kind of a tough word to use because people feel at home where they're at. Mm-hmm. So that word I feel is kind of like skewed in a certain fashion. But just so everybody gets the idea really quickly, like FEMA's paying, restaurants to come out and deliver food to people, right? So I mean, it's happening here in that same fashion as well. Over there, he's managing hotels, right? So like a Holiday Inn or Holiday Inn Express is being used in Seattle. People get distributed here, and then some of that stuff phased out. But there's different criteria per county. So I traveled from California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Utah down through Nevada, then Arizona, New Mexico, Texas here, right? But during that initial area, I was noticing each county, even in California, county to county, the requirements to get a hotel were different, right? So in Shasta County, I went with 3 people that were senior citizens that could not get a hotel in Shasta County, but we went to Arcata in Humboldt County. They had a hotel within a day and a half. Right, and getting fed at the hotel. So just between different places and how the county wants to distribute, allocate the money is how protected the people are. So we all drove over to the next county and got them hooked up with a hotel and put in there because the place in Shasta County still had their mission and was driving people to this mission of dispersing camps and telling people to go to the mission. But the mission had beds like that far apart with signs that said "Do not open the windows" with steam on the windows. So in that sense, that's just that's a petri dish. And they're pushing people into that. So in that sense, I think we should have. Seattle? Yeah, this is in Shasta County, California. So up to Seattle. In Seattle, they had different protocol, and I wasn't as in depth there on what happened. But I do know that they're using Holiday Inn Expresses and busing people to different parts of town in order to get them into hotels. So they go sign up. Yeah, you talk about the camps, but it's not like a camp like this idea of what a camp used to be, right? Like a Japanese internment camp or something like that. It's not like that. It's a hotel, and these people are coming in and out of the hotel as they please. And the biggest problem for the hotel staff, because they're not protected, is because they had 2 or 3 cases of hotel staff that caught it and had to go home at the hotel we were cleaning. And after we started decontaminating, they had 0. But the people are tired of being in the hotel, coming out, walking around, having their family come over, doing stuff, and then end up contaminating the workers there who are not protected. So in that sense, there's definitely a balance to be had for trying to make sure that we have a safe society that we can operate in.
Wow. And then the vaccines too are supposed to do the MK Ultra, where they can, make you do whatever. It's like.
And they've heard about the 5G interacts with the vaccine and the virus.
MK Ultra? MK Ultra is a study that was done, started maybe 50 or 60 years ago. Psychedelic drugs, records on repeat, and basically like what hypnosis is and programming.
Like mind control.
Oh yeah.
So I think we discussed the CIA being in our media back in the 70s or so. So in that sense, like this operation's already taking place, on large scale.
Oh, yeah. Well, they got it down to fine science now with
not
radio,
like knows there's 1,000 people running for president, right? We only know Trump, Biden, and like Bloomberg or whoever, right? Like that's it. So I mean, really, if the people are paying attention, they know that the FEC, the Federal Elections Commission, doesn't have a full board and hasn't made a decision in years, right? And that personal opposition spending, Bloomberg spent $600 million of his own money in order to get himself advertised. There's something called personal opposition spending, which changes the amount your competitors can spend. So by him coming into the game and putting that much money in, it changes how much Trump or Biden can spend by their own money later. So like these things, people aren't really paying attention to, even though we all understand that this judge made a decision that cash is freedom of speech. But if I'm playing my speakers too loud after 10 p.m., I'm getting a decibel ticket, right? So in that sense, he's blasting media super loud to drown everybody else out. And should that be allowed or not, I think should be a question on the table.
Wow.
Amen. Yeah. It's all about the control of money, control of information, control. Control.
Yeah.
That's what they do. But and what did it say? In order to keep this republic, you have to have a well-educated, vigilant populace.
That's it right there, yeah. Henry David Thoreau, when the people were ready for it, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So well-educated.
Yeah.
And self-informed, etc. Engaged.
And I think, you guys did let me know. I think more people are starting to. Do you sense that? Do you see it?
I do too. I see more people are waking up, and I'm really surprised at how many African Americans are starting to wake up, because we've been conditioned for so many years. Oh, we're Democrats. Our grandparents were Democrats.
Right.
Our great grandparents were, over and over. And I had to tell somebody recently, you've been voting Dem forever. How do you know if the Republican can, what they're going to do for us? You never,
Right.
we don't. It's like we got to look for change, and we're not going to get that,
Like he said, what do you got to lose? Because
I said, you got to think about it. The presidents that they assassinated, they were trying to get rid of the cabal. I said, and Trump is trying to do the same thing, and he's got hits on him. I said, so y'all got to think about this kind of stuff.
yeah, I judge people a lot from their enemies.
Yes.
And his enemies pretty much are my enemies.
Okay.
I mean, he's going against Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Yep.
I mean, come on, yeah. I mean, they're one of the biggest, pushers of everything right there.
Yeah, that's what I think happened to Kobe too, going against Big Pharma.
Yep.
You just got to be real careful with that.
Well, if you were to, I brought up QAnon, or somebody. There's a lot of things that seem to be going on we're not hearing about undercurrent. People are disappearing. I mean, some people I speak to tell me that Oprah Winfrey is arrested. She has got an ankle bracelet on.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it. I don't want to see the ankle bracelet. I want to see the real handcuffs.
That's me.
Show me that.
That's me. All of them. I think they all need to go. And they're making it okay. Like even in the videos and stuff, the dance videos, the girls are blackening their eyes to mimic the panda eyes, where the children are being the pedophilia and stuff, where they're
Right.
And it's like, this is sick.
I know. Well,
that's
I haven't heard of that.
that's the biggest way right there is how they control a lot of the powers that be. Is they suck them into the pedophilia, the whole child
It's
sex
so true.
thing.
So true.
And that's one of the things I really applauded him about. The second month he was in office, started the pedophile task force.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why they don't like that either.
Whoa.
Yeah. And there's big people behind that.
Oh, yes.
Big people.
Well,
I
the
think it's
biggest.
8 million children.
Yeah,
missing.
there was. I
That's
can't
a lot of
remember.
children.
There was another researcher came out last week, and who studies all the big elites, and he goes, all of the elites are into pedophilia.
Yeah, that's what I read that too.
All.
Blew my mind. It really blew my mind. I was like, oh, this is deep.
Yeah, and of course, what I'm looking at right now. Now they're starting to bust some of the people on the street. But what? Let's go up the food. Or even Rand Paul coming out of the RNC right the other day when they try to crowd on him.
Yeah.
And he said, these people are being paid. I said, there's someone behind them. Well, all right. Let's find out, because it's busting those little street minions. I mean, let's find where are they getting all their shirts and their signs, and who's busting them in, who's putting them up in the hotels, and who's doing. Someone's paying for that.
Yeah. When they were doing the rioting in Los Angeles, you could see somebody handing the young boys money to go into the stores and loot. They showed the videos.
Wow.
Where it literally just, hey, go in that store and take stuff.
Wow.
Like I said, this is all. And then once I found out BLM are Marxists, I was like, they'll never hear me quote that.
Some of those guys are probably buyers too.
Yeah.
Like, go get me this. Like, they make a list of things that they want and send thieves in to go get stuff, and they'll put it in a bag and take stuff out. So there's definitely little groups of people that work together, and they got a buyer, they got a seller, they got groups that go in and risk it. They know how to do it, and they say, I can go in there with a bag this big, but when I come out, it's that big. But they didn't see me put it in there, they can't stop me.
Yeah.
I got a balloon in there. So these guys are pros at doing that game too. So who knows who the guy in the video is, but they could be a plant, right?
Yeah.
It could be that same thing. So I've definitely seen people changing clothes in those videos, going from officer uniform to covered up and trying to incite some stuff.
Wow.
Right. That video I've seen a long time ago.
I've seen that too. They're exciting stuff.
Yeah, I was in Seattle when the protest started, and we were handing out tacos. A gal named Christine and I were out there handing out fried bread tacos. for donations. So I was up there, and in the perspective I have, I don't know, my mother's neck was broken by the PD in 2008. So in this sense, like, my perspective comes down to power issues. Is really what it comes down to, and whether people think they have enough power over you to get away with things. And if that's the case, then you get like the Stanford prison experiment, right? And this issue. So like, there's a lot to be said.
Well, there's the good, bad, and the ugly, and training has a lot to do with it. Psychological training at the beginning and whatnot,
right?
To weed out the psychopaths and sociopaths,
right?
Because it is a tough job to be a cop, and power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts, absolutely. And so you got to keep on top of that to maintain a good police force,
right?
Yeah.
And but again, like I mentioned earlier, most people that go into that field go into it truly want to help people.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't go. I mean, who the hell wants to get dressed up every day and go out and look for trouble? And get paid the little amount of money that the cops get paid for. They don't pay them enough.
And it was only 9 black people killed last year by cops.
Thank you.
Like, there's more black on black crime, and I keep telling
Yeah,
people,
we're Black Lives Matter on that. What about
until we address black on black crime,
Yeah.
this is going to continue to happen because they see we don't respect ourselves. So, of course, and then 9 people, come on.
Yeah, and can we talk about, Planned Parenthood?
Ooh, I'm always on that one. He's on that one.
Well, when we talk about genocide, yeah.
Always. And now they're taking it where they're having these botched abortions, so these women are carrying these babies up to term, and they're taking what they need. They let these babies just lay on the table and die. They're taking this, doing the stem cells, doing whatever they need to take from them, hearts, whatever.
Satanic. It is satanic. That's why I say, to me, it's more as a spiritual battle than it is anything else. I mean, we're dealing with it on this material plane, but this is a spiritual battle because you don't have people doing these things that are normal. They're not normal. It's not just that they're sick. There's something else going on.
Yeah.
Something else going on.
And they're saying that this adrenochrome, when they drink the blood, it makes them higher than any drug. And it's like, wow, this is just so far-fetched. It just blew my mind when I first heard it. Like, there's no way that's going on.
I know.
And I said, let me research this. And, it's just amazing.
Well, they count on a lot of people being so repulsed against it, because if we start talking this about people that are, invested in doing research in this, go, oh, you're a conspiracy. That ain't going to, because they play on the good nature of people.
It's kind of like the same thing with the what do they call those things? The lines that the airplanes leave. No, the cloud seeding stuff.
Oh, yeah. The chemtrails.
Chemtrails, there we go, but they were doing that in Vietnam in order to extend the rainy season by 6 months by putting silver nitrate in the air.
Yeah, Operation Popeye.
Yeah, that's it, Operation Popeye, exactly. So in this sense, like, when I look around and I see this stuff happening, I go, well, California's got one of the best ag productions, but I see lines in the sky all the time, but if they're cloud seeding, maybe like it's a good thing that we're feeding a lot of the people. But then part of me looks at the Dutch and sees how they're using solar to extend the daylight part and making their greenhouses, right? So now you can grow all the way through winter as if it was July.
We haven't had natural weather in decades.
We haven't. My uncle lives in Massachusetts. He said they got snow, I think, once this year. I said, are you kidding? He said, yeah, we've gotten snow once.
It's HARP, chemtrails, the radio.
HARP had anything to do with the hurricane missing New Orleans?
Well, are you familiar with Lieutenant Ben Livingston?
What's that?
Lieutenant Ben Livingston?
No, I'm not familiar. I haven't paid attention to some of this stuff in a long time.
In 1954, Eisenhower started the Department of Weather and Climate Modification.
Okay.
Lieutenant Ben Livingston took that over, became known as the father of weather weapons. He's the one that, in Vietnam, was running the entire weather modification program.
Interesting.
Alex Jones had him on when Katrina was happening. And he said, if you would have given me 4 airplanes, I could have knocked Katrina out. So what you do it, investigate. HARP actually bragged about this. They took it down, but when HARP first came out, the head of the HARP program was bragging about the fact that they could take those radio waves, bounce them off the ionosphere, down to a section of the water, heat that up and create a hurricane, and then steer that hurricane and strengthen it, or whatever they wanted to do, to where they wanted it to go.
That's something. His name is Ben Livingston.
Ben Livingston. And then China bragged about, during the Winter Olympics, making it snow for the Winter Olympics. It snowed so much I had to close down Saigon. And then they said that recently, it was last year, they came out and they bragged again in public about being able to make it rain over an area the size of France if they wanted to. So they can make droughts, they can make monsoons, they can do all of this stuff. So when you know, they'll say we don't have our weather. I remember in the summertime here, you could just, like clockwork, you could go ahead and set your watch at every day o'clock at 5 o'clock. It would rain for about an hour, cool things off, and it'd be, you know, like clockwork. I mean, more. That was 15 years ago. Since then, it's, you never know what's going to happen. So, yeah, they've been screwing with the weather forever. So this is not natural.
Yeah.
We haven't had natural in a long time in a lot of things.
No.
So, yeah. And again, it all comes down to population control.
Yeah.
Fact is, and I talked to a professor of economics from Harvard one day. I said, what is AI robotic technology going to do to the people you see walking around us here in 10 years from now?
That's what I want to know.
And he goes, well, about 50% of them will be out of work. And I go, what are we going to do with all these out of work people? And he said to me, oh, in the past, we've killed you. So all of this, everything we're doing, from the vaccines we've been talking about, from the 5G we were talking about, to the weather modification to starve us out, all of this has to do with about population reduction.
See, I think that we can handle at least twice our capacity right now. The issue comes into exponential growth and first world country development. Babies go from like 15 to 7 to like 1.5 kids per family as you get more educated and more first world. So that's typically what happens. It's very similar in plants. The more stressed the plant is, the more seeds it produces. So in stressful environments, people tend to have more kids. There's also a lot more fatalities.
Right.
So in this area, like as we learn how to produce, food more efficiently, and then we start evolving to wonder what this idea of a first world culture or first world society means. I think we're going to be fine. Especially in our trajectory, being able to colonize, and if we can handle weather here, then Mars shouldn't be too much of an issue. So, like in this sense, I definitely see like expansion. This isn't. This is our home. This is our base, but we're going to keep going.
Yeah.
It's the mismanagement of our resources.
I don't understand why we're going to have a coffee shop on the dark side of the moon yet. So I'm proposing, dark side of the moon.
People say we have got it. There is colonies there.
Yeah, I know there's sayings and these things, but really, I want to go have coffee there. So it shouldn't be more than a bus fare.
Yeah.
Right. So we shot a rocket up there and landed people on the moon. Or on the Casio watch, basically, equivalent for computational power. It wasn't that much. So today, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And I have that question as to where we're at. I see every 4 years we have the Olympics, and every 4 years we have a new president. So in this sense, it's a sprint.
All right, guys.
Look at that. You think this one's gonna last?
Nice talking to you.
Oh, it was a pleasure
By the
talking
way,
to you guys.
This was D'Artagnan Dumas out of El Dorado County.
Okay.
Give him a call and ask him why they put me on a libertarian ticket when I said no party.
Okay.
I'm kidding, but I'm not.
My name is Rama. It was nice.
Rama, God bless you.
Rama,
Thank
it's a
you. You
pleasure,
too.
sweetheart.
Both of you.
I'm gonna go dodge this rain for a second.
Yeah, all right, brother.
It's a pleasure. What's your name?
Mike.
Mike. Pleasure, Mike.
All right. Okay, come back and talk. Well, you got a lot to say, man.
Yeah. I'd love to chat some more.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be here for a bit, we just gotta.
Yeah, it's like,
gonna bucket
everything
ass.
depends on the weather,
I might get a refill on my coffee, a little watered down from these drops.
Yeah. And again, thank you for coming by, and hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the contribute button,
go to the shop button, and keep me out there on the streets. God bless you. Thank you for coming by. Pray for me, and I'll be praying for you. And I'll see you on the streets.